The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
September 20th is Federal Election Day, and Canadian residents have the responsibility to choose the candidates who will best serve our country. All eligible voters may vote for the Member of Parliament who will represent the riding in which they live. Saskatchewan has 14 federal ridings. To find out which riding you live in or to check if you're registered to vote, call 1-800-463-6868 or visit www.elections.ca. As a public service to the communities in the 11 ridings we serve, Access Communications has invited the officially declared federal candidates to present a campaign message for airing exclusively on Access Now TV. The views and opinions expressed in the following campaign messages are those of the candidates. The Yorkton-Melville riding is located on the east side of Saskatchewan. Access Now communities which are located in this riding are Bredenbury, Kenora, Churchbridge, Esterhazy, Foam Lake, Hudson Bay, Kamsack, Kelvington, Langenburg, Melville, Norquay, Saltcoats, Springside, Theodore, Wadena, Watson, and Yorkton. Eligible voters in the Yorkton-Melville riding may elect one of the following candidates: Jordan Ames Sinclair, representing the Liberal Party; Valerie Brooks, representing the Green Party; Denise Laux, representing the Maverick Party; Braden Robertson, representing the People's Party; Halston Rust, representing the New Democratic Party; or incumbent Kathy Wagenthal, representing the Conservative Party. Here are the candidates who are able to present their campaign message.
Hello, my name is Valerie Brooks, and I'm your Green Party candidate in the upcoming election. I'm originally from Hudson Bay and now reside in Saltcoats with my husband Darren. I have worked as a teacher and school administrator in the education sector for the past 20 years. I'm not a typical politician, and I've chosen to run for a party that is not a typical political party. The Green Party is a future-oriented party promoting electoral reform. Founded in 1983, the Green Party has grown into a nationally recognized party. We're relevant, we're real, we're ready to govern, and we represent a bold vision for change. Every voter needs to believe their vote matters and their voice is heard. Proportional representation will make that a reality. Electing representatives in this way would mean more power is distributed to regional areas. It would also take the politicking out of governing and create a parliament that is collaborative, effective, and efficient, ultimately saving taxpayers money. Social justice and respect for diversity are critical for a happy and healthy society. While researching treaty education and reconciliation for my master's degree, Indigenous participants taught me that reconciliation starts with unlearning colonial lessons and forming critical stances about systemic barriers many people face all across Canada. A decent quality of life depends on all of us working to understand each other and our respective needs and creating a fiscally responsible plan to provide supports where needed. Finally, economic sustainability begins and ends with environmental sustainability. A recent report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has conclusively shown that modern industrial society has created a climate crisis. This summer in Saskatchewan, we have seen the effects of the climate crisis firsthand, with heat waves, fires, and droughts affecting all our lives and livelihoods, especially our farmers, who contribute so much to our local economy. The IPCC report was referred to as a code red for humanity, and our future grandchildren are going to suffer immensely if we don't do something now. The Green Party is committed to this work, and I will fight to support the people of Saskatchewan experiencing the most extreme effects of the climate crisis. Thank you for considering me to be a viable and trustworthy representative for you in Ottawa, and thank you to Access Communications for providing this opportunity to share my message with you.
Hi, I'm Denise Laux, and I'm the Maverick Party candidate for the Yorkton-Melville electoral district, and am running to be your MP in this election. I grew up in Ebenezer, later living in Yorkton. I worked in the family business of road construction that my father started in 1966. With my husband, we raised 2 sons, of whom I am very proud of. Dale and I have been married for 32 years. My husband and I left the family business to others in the family and have transitioned to our own smaller business in the hopes of spending more time with each other as we now live at Kenora Beach. I have also started to work on a committee to bring natural gas to the various smaller communities in our area. I have to tell you, I have been a long-time conservative, but by November of last year, I made the change and bought a Maverick Party membership. I made the choice to become more involved. Here in Saskatchewan, we have the resources and people to be a strong province. The Maverick platform is a voice from the West for the West. No longer tied to the constraints of chasing votes in the East, we will only have candidates running in the West. We believe that every vote in the House of Commons by a Maverick MP must be put to one simple test. Is our support or opposition good for the West and our citizens? Let's give the West a voice. On September 20th, I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Braden Robertson, and I'm representing the People's Party of Canada for the Yorkton-Melville riding. This will likely be the most critical election of our lifetime. Our country is fast moving towards a top-down socialist system. The mainstream political parties have migrated towards a liberal, globalist agenda and mentality. Canadian citizens are gradually losing their voice in government. It is time for everyday people to take back control of their country. Let us not forget that the government works for you. Canadians' freedoms are under attack. Our speech is constantly censored. We are told where we can and cannot gather, and where we can and cannot travel. Our freedom of religion has been trampled on. Our property rights are at risk. Our rights to firearms are being eroded. People are being pressured to make medical decisions that contradict their conscience. The People's Party is the only party that is actively and openly fighting to win these freedoms back. We are the only party that fully condemns COVID lockdowns, vaccine passports, mandatory vaccines, mask mandates, and tyrants threatening jobs. Our platform includes cutting all funding to the CBC, building pipelines, removing the carbon tax, and ending big government spending. The People's Party stands firm on their values of freedom, responsibility, fairness, and respect. Your vote for me is one that you can make with a clear conscience. I myself am a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. I am openly pro-life and opposed to euthanasia at any age. I believe very strongly that parents shall raise their children free from government intervention. I believe our government is overgrown with corruption and needs to be reduced in size. Thank you for letting me be your voice for freedom in this important election, and thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Holston Rust, your NDP candidate for Yorkton-Melville. I grew up in small-town Saskatchewan. I know the struggles you and your family face. I've had to travel hours to seek health care. I've had to work for bosses who saw me as expendable because it was the only way to pay my rent. I've lost friends and family to opiates, suicide, and drunk driving. I've had to boil water to brush my teeth, blown a tire on a pothole-covered road, and seen the funding for the school I grew up in whittle away. I've had the opportunities for me and my family limited because the Conservatives won't invest in rural Saskatchewan unless there's oil. I've lived the same life of each and every one of you, and it's time for a party that fights for you. The NDP has always been the party of the Saskatchewan people because it was born out of neighbors taking care of each other. It was born out of the lessons of our grandparents who taught us that if we didn't band together, our neighbor might not make it through the winter. It's time for the people of Yorkton-Melville to come together again and work with the party that will invest in the future of your children, not cuts to education. Invest in your roads, not leave them to fall apart. Invest in your farm, not leave you high and dry when a crop fails. Invest in ending the opioid epidemic, not pretend it doesn't exist. On September 20th, I ask for your support so that I can join Jagmeet Singh in fighting for you and your family and our community. You deserve better.
I'm Kathy Wagenthal, your Yorkton Melville Conservative candidate. This federal election is a watershed moment for our nation and for Saskatchewan. Since coming to power, the Liberal strain on you, your family, communities, our economy, international relationships just continues to fester. With Justin Trudeau's mismanagement in his first term, our economy was already spiraling due to investment leaving Canada. With the Liberal delayed, irrational response to COVID coming into Canada, the damage has been suffocating. His overreach into our lives has now moved to denying individual charter rights and freedoms and trying to punish those who are not choosing to vaccinate. Printing $424 million a day, his endless deficits are feeding inflation, driving up the cost of necessities, putting our social programs at risk, and burdening future generations with debt. With federal debt doubling to $1.4 trillion in 4 years, Trudeau has no plan to bring Canada's finances into order. Canada's recovery plan details how our Conservative government will rein in deficits, address inflation, and the rising cost of living. It's thorough, it's measured, there is hope. Read it at conservative.ca/plan. Over the past 2 years, Justin Trudeau has made 16,760 spending announcements, more than any government in history. His pandemic response cost more than any other OECD country, with results among the worst in the G7. It's time to get Canadians back to work, end emergency pandemic supports, and stimulate all sectors of our economy. We stand with Saskatchewan and all of rural Canada as the bedrock of our nation's GDP. We'll set aside infrastructure funds for rural projects, kill the carbon tax, and collaborate with Premier Moe respecting Saskatchewan priorities. Pass a Critical Infrastructure Protection Act preventing protesters from blocking key infrastructure. Treat the energy sector as a key driver of Canada's economy, repealing C-69 and C-49. Fix the fiscal stabilization program, ensuring Saskatchewan receives retroactive compensation. Adopt the Equalization and Transfer Fairness Act as a government bill. Reverse the Liberal attack on law-abiding firearms owners. Reform Agri-Invest, Agri-Recovery, and develop a way forward on insurance programs. We'll open new markets, improving harmonization of regulations with trading partners, especially the U.S., implement an agri-food labor strategy, and ensure the sale of a farm to a family member is not taxed at a higher rate than to a stranger. Canada's recovery plan to secure the future will get our country back on track. Put Canadians first. Restore competent, transparent, accountable government to you. Ensure Canada preparedness. Restore our economy in all sectors and invest in the crucial ways rural Canadians contribute to our nation's health and prosperity. I'm Kathy Wagenthal, and I'm honored to ask for your vote.
Election Day is Monday, September 20th. Most eligible voters are already registered in the National Register of Electors. All registered voters will receive a voter information card. It will tell you where and when to vote. To check if you are registered, use the online voter registration service on the Elections Canada website. If you are unable to vote on Election Day, advance polls will be held on September 10th through the 13th. Your voter information card tells you the address of your advance polling place. If you find it more convenient, you can apply to vote at one of 500 Elections Canada offices or vote by mail before Tuesday, September 14th at 6 p.m. For more information, call 1-800-463-6868 or visit www.elections.ca.